everybody. It's Tyler Esselman.
And Michael Osinski.
And you are listening to This One Goes to 11.
This One Goes to 11. It's the podcast where we invite someone into our virtual living room to share an album with us that they believe is perfect.
So perfect, in fact, that 10 out of 10 just isn't good enough. We're back in our rightful place. Remote.
Is it?
Remote from money.
No. The remote is not the rightful place. Like, it's better when we're in the same room together.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like, wah, wah, you know, after the first two episodes of the season being in person recording. It feels funny to be back in our remote setup, but you know, it opens up the world of possibilities of who we can have on the podcast, and we got somebody very special today. You see her here with us, Michael. Who are we speaking to today?
We are speaking to Marcy Barbeau.
Marcy Barbeau,
hi,
my friend. Marcy, and we'll say your bio, which is very clever and quippy. Marcy Barbeau is a lighting designer who is afraid of the dark, and I think that's a wonderfully poetic way of describing yourself.
I came up that like 2 years ago. I think somebody was like, I think we gotta put a blackout in the scene transition. And my first like response, which was like sassy but also hilarious, was, I don't know, I'm like pretty afraid of the dark. I don't think it's gonna work. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah. And then I just committed to it as like the thing.
Yeah. You might as well hang your hat on that. I feel like that's part of having a fear of heights too, is you hang your hat on the fact where you're like, no, I just don't like them.
I have that as well. So
do you really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't do that.
Do you have that, Michael?
What?
Are you afraid of heights?
No. I mean, well, depends. Like, I'm not gonna do that thing at the top of Willis Tower. Is it Willis Tower where they have the glass thing that like extends out over the? I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. But like,
not for you. That's
I can, I can go up on tall buildings and look over the edge.
Yeah, it's there. There's a threshold. There's a threshold.
I can do like a very sturdy height, but like doing electrician work at different theaters when I was like younger, and like being on like A-frame ladders and like really like leaning over with like a 40-pound light or however much it is. I don't know. It's 7 pounds, but I actually do know how much lights weigh.
It feels like 40.
But it feels like 40 when you're sweating.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where that comes from. So yeah.
Well, we're super happy to have you, Marcy. Marcy and I go way back. To Lindbergh High School. You're one of the Lindbergh High School alums that has graced us with your presence on the pod. And, you know, there's a whole, we can save a lot of this for the theater podcast. I think that's going to be hard to do.
The theater podcast.
With you,
another podcast.
With you being here. But Marcy and I did theater together in high school. And Marcy, you tackled lighting design so early. I feel like that's not typical for most kids.
I think that most kids tend to find it in high school. Most students that I talk to were like, I did this, I just picked up the show in high school and I loved it so much and I just kept doing it. But I started in middle school because, as you know, my mom was the high school theater teacher and director of our high school. So I was stuck hanging out there anyways. Right. So there was a lot of times where I was just doing lighting for those shows.
Were you stuck or was it nepotism?
It was both. It was both. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll take that little nepotism. I'll get in there. Nobody else wanted to do the lighting, really, so that actually kind of worked out. But in middle school, I was like doing the lighting, and sometimes I'd do the sound, and like I'd design the T-shirts, and I'd type the programs out, and like do the whole thing. So I was just kind of stuck with it, but the arts were like always kind of what I always did. My mom, I'm adopted, and I was raised by a single working mother, but she always made sure that she kept her theater tickets. She had her subscriptions to the Fox and the St. Louis Repertory Theater. So like I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house because she was at the theater all the time. Not neglecting, but like
God love her. That's putting your money where your mouth is. That's amazing.
That's right. So now she's like, oh, she's stuck doing theater forever. That's what it is.
Yeah, you got the bug early.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And I will like to say my mom loves Tyler. Well, my mom was so excited when you came to see my show in Chicago to hear that you're doing well and all that other stuff. So
well, I know I'm the king of hyperbole, but PJ Barbeau, Ms. Barbeau was a very formative influence in my life, and it can't really be overstated. So I could go on and on about that. I could get sappy about, like what effect, her presence in my life had on like what I've chosen to do with my time as an
That's
adult.
amazing.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Like it was, and here's looking at you, Ms. Barbeau. You'll always be Ms. Barbeau to me. Here's looking at you. But I can't. Yeah, I'm overflowing with gratitude for that time in my life, and that's when I got the bug. That's when I thought it'd be cool to do this when I'm out of high school too.
Yeah.
And I never would have met Michael. I never would have gone to DePaul if it wouldn't have been for your mom. I remember she was the one that encouraged me to go to DePaul when I was choosing between the places.
She's probably
that
like, that place waitlisted my daughter. So, but I bet you could get in your first try.
Oh yeah, we can talk off pod about the particular opinions that she had about a few programs, but
Sure.
but yeah, it was turning point, pivotal relationship in my life, and I love you, Ms. Barbeau. You're the best.
When
So,
we start
okay.
the Great Moms podcast, we can talk all about
That's
it.
what we'll do.
No more podcasts.
That's right.
Don't give Tyler any ideas.
Well, Marcy, as not only were we theater buddies, but we were certified indie kids in high school as well. Like we were certified
Jeez.
like that. A millennial has become a pejorative, but I feel like you and I really embody that kind of like heart of the because Michael, you're in the part of millennial that I feel like it's not. You're a cusp, right? You're a Gen X.
I'm Gen X technically.
Technically, you are.
Yeah,
Right.
right on the edge. By like 2 months, I'm Gen
Right.
X. So.
And I feel like that fits. That fits with your chart, as it were.
I am solid Gen X energy. Like
Yeah.
I am so Gen X.
But Marcy, I hate to say it, you and I, right in the heart of millennial. We
But that does make me feel good that you called me a cool indie kid, because let me tell you, in high school, I wished to be one of the cool indie kids. Scrolling
Sure.
back in your past podcasts, like seeing Brian Seiske's name, Peter Link's names, friends of the
Yeah.
pod, friends of Limburg High School. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me. But that
It
was
is,
us.
right?
Yeah. I mean, like, let's listen to some Sufjan Stevens and Animal Collective and
Big time.
just
Grizzly
feel
Bear.
Grizzly
Yeah.
Bear. That's right.
No,
Yeah,
we haven't
yeah.
covered Grizzly Bear.
We haven't
yet,
covered them yet.
technically.
That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
But and we'll get a little bit to later to the albums that you nominated that we didn't choose. But without any further ado, let's get into the heart of the matter, as it were. Marcy, you came here with a very serious purpose, and that's to make your case for an album that you believe is perfect. So will you tell our listeners, what album hath thou brought before this one goes to 11 tribunal today?
I bring to you the offering of Vibras by J Balvin.
Now, before we get into your case, there might be some of our listeners out there who might not, listeners and viewers, like I call them viewers
yeah.
now too,
You can see us.
who might not be as familiar with J Balvin, although, I mean, I think there's at least one song that everybody has heard.
Yes.
But in case people aren't as familiar, we have a segment that we like to offer our listeners. Tyler, what's that segment called?
People really like this segment, Marcy. They really
Okay,
do.
I'm so excited.
It's everyone's favorite segment.
The fans.
Everyone's talking about it. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Vibras by J Balvin in 60 seconds. And today,
Amazing.
Michael has undertaken the task of condensing the context and history of this album and this artist into 60 seconds for our uninformed listeners and viewers, and you get to judge him. We're going to be judging your case on why this album is perfect, but to start out, you get to assess his job in whatever terms you see fit. Okay?
Okay.
All right, let me get my little How are you feeling about this one, Michael?
All right.
Is it bilingual? How
Is
bilingual
it bilingual?
No, it's because, like, and now if we ever cover like a French Canadian artist, like I will do the whole thing in French.
And he did. And you have flexed your French muscle. He was a French double major in undergrad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. Look how French and theater, the two most useful degrees ever, right?
Go into opera, man. Go into opera.
I kind of wish I could. That's where the money is.
Well, Michael, I've got 60 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, listen close, Marcy. We're starting in 3, 2, 1.
Jose Alvaro Osorio Balvin, born in Medellin, Colombia in 1985, cites the king of reggaeton, Daddy Yankee, as his biggest influence, though he first listened to bands like Metallica and got himself a Nirvana tattoo on his knee. He spent part of his teen years in Oklahoma and New York, where he learned English and listened to 50 Cent, before returning home to get a degree in international business and perform reggaeton music in clubs. Reggaeton being a specific genre with a very specific percussion pattern that originated in Panama and draws from dancehall, hip-hop, and Latin American and Caribbean music. His breakout came in 2014 with the song 6 a.m., which he described as a Latin version of The Hangover. Yet it was 2017's Mi Gente, or My People, a reworking of French DJ and producer Willie Williams' Voodoo song that racked up over 1 billion views on YouTube, became the #1 song in the world, stirred up some controversy with Pitbull, and made its way onto his third album, Vibras, so named because of all the different vibes included on it. It topped the Latin albums chart and featured guest appearances by artists like Rosalia, but honestly, you probably know him from his collaboration with Cardi B and Bad Bunny on 2018's Grammy-nominated track, I Like It.
Very nice.
There you go. You got in before the second chime, so I say we count that. That's your stoppage
We'll count
time.
that.
Yeah, we'll
we can
count
that. Yeah.
There you
That
go,
counts.
Michael.
And honestly, saying his whole name took up a full 5 seconds. So
There's that.
and you
There's
pronounced
that.
it well, so I feel like lots of points for that.
Well, good. How many points?
Yeah, how many points are we
well,
talking?
how many points? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll think about that one.
Okay. Think about it.
All right.
Think about it. We can. We'll.
If we
I'll
come up
fucking-
with a numbering system that you start from your 100th episode out.
Listen, we did away with that.
Yeah, don't give him any ideas.
We
Don't-
had in our beta phase. We had points and everything. It was a whole thing, but we did away with them. I think it was one of the best decisions we've ever made.
Incredible.
But no, it sounds like a positive. Sounds like a positive assessment there, Michael. And I agree. That was some of your better work.
Well, thank you. Well, before we dive in even further, though, we like to start these conversations by asking a much broader question of you, our guest. And that question is, what is and has been your relationship with music, writ large?
Sure. Of long history. What about it? I should have thought about this more before I started speaking.
This is great, though. There'll be
I'm doing really well.
from the hip.
Yeah, right, straight out. I played violin starting in 4th grade, as we did in our school district. You start getting introduced to musical instruments decently early. I played piano as well when I was younger. I took piano lessons. I was always really bad at piano because I wasn't good at practicing, and I also was really bad at doing reading 2 staffs of music at the same time.
Yeah.
So switching to violin was really nice because I only had to deal with one. And then I was actually pretty good at it. I really enjoyed playing it. But I quickly discovered in my life that performance was not for me, both pressure wise and just all of it. I'm not really a performer. So
That's why you did
surprisingly
everything
enough,
else in the theater. You did
surprisingly
every other
enough,
job.
I truly did. I did it all. So, but music was really, really early for me. Just even with just piano lessons, we also went to church all the time. Music is a huge influence there. And then in high school at my church, in the choir, in the handbell choir, like doing all of that kind of stuff. Did handbells. Handbells are great. Aren't handbells so much fun?
Great. Handbells are so great. Oh my God.
Handbells are super, super fun. And I always thought the dynamic of a handbell choir was so interesting because they always put the younger boys who had a bunch of ADHD in the lower notes and the bigger bells.
Yep.
And then they always put kind of the girl clicky girls who I wasn't really friends with the higher bells that got to use 2 bells with one hand all the time.
Oh,
And then I would for the rest of my life, I found would bounce around throughout all of them because I knew how to read both all the different clefs. I couldn't do it all at the same time. So I would bounce around to all the different ones. And anyways, music, so much drama.
Hey, hierarchies come up everywhere, don't they?
It comes up everywhere. And then high school, I would say, is when I really started trying to hone in on my music tastes and what my style was. I've always been years behind what is the popular music. I Chaperone, Sabrina Carpenter, all of this stuff this summer, I got in months after. I used to use this website in high school. I think it was called the61.com, and it was this indie music site that that had a bunch of indie bands on it that I think was cheap for them to upload their stuff to. And then I also used to always get the mixtapes that Urban Outfitters used to put out.
Those were pretty
Oh,
good.
And
A
they
lot
were
of those
pretty
were
good. That's how
Yeah.
I found out about
tastemakers.
Grizzly Bear, and yes, that's exactly right. So that once I started getting into like kind of the indie scene, and also at our high school, I feel like there was like the big indie group, popular group, and then like those were the popular people, and then there was also like the regular popular people. I feel like stereotypical
It's
high
always so
school
funny to hear
movie.
other people's like assessments of it, but yeah, sure. In broad terms, I guess I see what you're saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
we tried to have an alternative homecoming, like with Peter Link DJ. Like that's
We
how
did.
like
I've
We
heard about this.
we
I've
did
heard about
that.
this.
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like this whole thing. So that's when I really started to try to like get into like a good music taste, because I tried the emo thing in middle school with Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance and stuff, and that was just all a lot. So then I kind of calmed down.
It's emotional. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
So, and then what else? I mean, and then I did theater, and music's there forever, right? And I do a lot of opera now.
Yeah.
So opera is quite big in my life, and especially with the history of opera. In grad school at Boston University, I took a music theory class. Was horror. I'm really bad at music theory. I used to really, I really considered trying to be like a conductor, like a
yeah.
maestra, and like I thought that would be a really cool job. And I very quickly found out that music theory is really hard.
Yeah.
I took a music theory
math,
class
yeah.
my first year in college, and the first like 2 weeks, I'm like, I got this. This is no big deal. And then they started talking about all the different like interval progressions, and
Yeah.
it hurt my head like trying to like learn all that.
Oh yeah.
It's hard. And my music theory class, at some point, like every week we had to turn in a couple bars of music that we wrote. And I
Interesting.
every time messed it up. So at some point, there's a guy who I worked with at a restaurant in Boston who was like a music major from BU, and he was like really into music. So I just would have him do my assignment. It was grad school. I was in grad school for lighting design, so like I was kind of like whatever. So I was like, can you write this stuff? So, and then sometimes he'd give it back to me, and I'd look at it. Because I can read music, I just can't write it. And I was like, this is too complicated. There's no way I would have written this piece of music. You have to quarter notes, eighth notes, that's all you get. Like, and he was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I would have to simplify it. So long history with music.
Yeah.
And still continuing.
So is your like, I want to touch on the opera thing, because there's such I think what's interesting about kind of coming at music from like a multidisciplinary angle, like the more creative endeavors that you have in your quiver, if you will, feels like you kind of start to think about it a little bit differently. What's your journey been like with opera? Like, is it something that you really like? When do you have a love for it now? Like, what's the feeling of opera for you?
I do have a great love for opera now, and I also have, so many opinions. I've become quite the little opera elitist, which I think is ridiculous, right?
Good.
Classical music, my mom, I always listen to classical music going to sleep, and to the Into the Woods original Broadway soundtrack. Both of those always put me to sleep in my little boom box in my room when I was growing up. And then I think in third grade, Mrs. Hines at my elementary school put me up to be in the Opera Theater St. Louis summer camp that they were doing.
Okay.
And they did like 1 week where it's like people who play music. So it must have been fourth grade, because I was playing violin at that point. And you got to do 1 week of this like music camp that Opera Theater St. Louis was doing. And at the end of that week, you got to see whatever opera they had on. And they had Magic Flute. So Magic Flute was the first opera that I saw, which is many people's first operas.
Right.
And I thought it was amazing and crazy and so cool. And then I didn't start working in opera. I worked at Opera Theater St. Louis for 2 summers when I was at Webster University.
Because they're right there together, right?
They are at the conservatory. Yeah. They're all in that one theater
compound
with the rep as well.
That's right.
So I was an electrician my freshman year of college, between freshman and sophomore, and then I was the deck electrician between sophomore and junior year. And you do 4 operas each summer, so I got a lot of opera stuff in there. And then when I really started working in it was at Boston University for my master's program. Boston has a really great opera institute. So they put on a lot of concerts, but they put on at least 2 big realized productions, and I think 1 smaller, like 1-act fringe. So, and then and my mentor at Boston University, Mark Stanley, who's a very well accomplished lighting designer at New York City Ballet and also in opera. He and I focused a lot on opera when it came to my studies.
Really?
And then I took a lot of opera classes. So I took my music theory class. I took an opera history class that I loved. I took this opera analysis class where you kind of took music theory and you studied opera scores. And then you like looked at how the composers. It was fascinating. I could go on for hours. It was amazing. This woman who taught it.
This woman, she's got a lot of interests.
I'm so into it. And the woman who teaches is like the leading expert on Puccini, and that was really cool. So I got super into opera, and then I just started working in it, and knowing all these directors, and now I'm designing a lot of operas and working on a lot of operas.
You're in it.
I'm in it. I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'm going to Paris next month to see La Boheme
No
in
big deal.
space.
What?
Yes, they made a La Boheme in space in 2017, 2018. It got booed opening night, and they're bringing it back to Paris Opera,
Well, I mean,
and I'm going.
I think the question I would have is like, if it's La Boheme, like bohemian existence, how can
In
they
space.
afford to go to space? That's maybe
think-
the question.
I think the
Good question.
overall concept is that it's like Mimi's fever dream. But who knows?
okay.
I can't wait. I'm really into
Yeah.
going into things blind, so I'm pretty.
Are you? Cool.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So that's
Well, I was going to ask you what the future of opera is, and it sounds like it's La Boheme in space.
it's La Boheme in space. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Listen, this isn't an opper podcast, so
No,
it's not.
you got to
It is-
stop me.
It is interesting though. I mean, considering the album you brought before us, like most people when they experience an opera, there are very few operas fully written in English. So
Yeah.
like, I wonder. I mean, I might have some questions for you about that later on. But like,
Yeah.
it's just
Totally.
interesting to me because I've never seen an opera. I listened to them a bunch of times, but again, I never know what they're
I've never
actually
been either.
saying. So I don't know
Mm.
what
Need to
I don't know
fix
what
that.
the songs are about.
You guys
so.
got to go to the opera.
I know, we got to get cultured,
It's pretty badass. There's some good operas out there.
And there's some good opera here in St. Louis, so I think I need to make that happen. Okay, we're getting further afield, further afield.
Yes.
So you you corrected me a moment ago that I said you were on the French team, but you were on the Spanish team, weren't you? And so tell us why is there a big sigh there? And also how did you discover Vibras? Like what was the discovery of this album like for you?
Absolutely. Great segues. We love getting the opera and the language. Well done. Loved that.
It's like we've done this for a while.
It's like you've done this for a while. That was very
What's
good.
this?
I'm impressed. Listen, that sigh was because I gave you like 4 albums that I love, and 3 of them are in English, and this one is in Spanish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Which
Yeah.
is fine. And I do fully believe that this album is a banger.
Mhm.
I took 7 years of Spanish.
Yeah.
And I was bad at. I'm not that good at Spanish. I can have conversational Spanish, like
Mhm.
conversations. That was horrible. And then I can barely have conversations in English. I can understand Spanish much
Can
better
you?
than I can speak it.
Okay.
And I do like try to get a little practice, like in listening to other music and Spanish speaking music. And like sometimes I watch like a drama on Netflix in Spanish.
Ooh, cool.
When I have the time. So I try, but it's not good. And so so I'm a little bummed, but I'm not super bummed because this album is pretty sick.
Okay.
I found this album. This is a good story. I dated this Cuban guy in Boston named Alex, and this album had just come out, and he listened to it all the time. He
Really?
was always playing this album, and I was like, this is really good music.
Mm.
And like, so every time we were hanging out, he had this album on. I was like, this is Vibes, and that's the whole name of the album.
Yeah.
So I listened to a lot, and then I started making people listen to it with me. And
Mm.
so like I had 2 really good friends in grad school, and in the summer we would hang out on my friend Aubrey's porch, and he would grill, and I just like play this album from the beginning, and we would just like chill and like not even
Oof.
talk to each other and just listen to this album.
Yeah.
And Aubrey would be like, this is so good. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
So that's That's it. That's
That's
my.
kind of
That's how I
how
feel about it.
that was your
But
introduction to it. That's a great
that was my
introduction to it.
introduction. Yeah.
So okay, and then you're not with Alex anymore? This Alex.
I'm not with Alex anymore,
Okay,
unfortunately. That was a good
so
1 month.
does this immediately bring up that relationship for you? Does listening to this album, is it transportative in that way? If you don't mind me asking.
A little bit. There are some
Yeah.
times where I'm like, oh man, remember Alex? But
That's great.
But it's not. It's
It's not too melancholy.
It's not too melancholy. I mean, it
That's
ended
good.
just as quickly as it started, and it was nice because it was like my first time dating someone bilingual. And there was this one moment where we were at a restaurant, and he asked me a question in Spanish, and I answered in English, and I was like, "Well, that was the hottest thing that's ever happened to me."
That is cool. Yeah, hell yeah.
So that's pretty cool to know.
That is cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I think about him sometimes, but I will keep prefacing that I do not speak Spanish fluently when we talk about this album.
Fair enough. Neither do I.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And so, okay, so did it send you down a reggaeton like rabbit hole, or like did you find yourself branching out and listening to other reggaeton artists, or like what kind of world did this open up for you getting to know this album?
None. No, I only listened to this album for like a full year. I truly did not look up any other. I mean, like, I really like Bad Bunny. And like, I'd say when it comes to vibes, the older I've been getting, the more I've been getting into like chiller. Like, I'm really into Afro beats lately right now. Like, I love Tyler, I love Amare, I love like Victoria Monet. So like, I'm really into those like sultry vibes. And I feel like this album has that aplenty. And then I also really enjoyed it because it's one of the few Spanish speaking albums that I've listened to where I do understand a lot of the words and I can sing along to it. Bad Bunny is too fast for me. And
I was about to say, yeah.
And I love Bad Bunny, but like this album, there's a few songs where like I can sing whole lines.
Yeah.
And I feel very cool. I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but I feel very cool.
Also, I mean, I do not speak Spanish at all, but I did try to look up lyrics a little bit because we talked about Bad Bunny's album. I've already forgotten the name of it, but like the big one.
Well, those are a song of the summer discussion.
Yeah, and I remember looking up those lyrics. I will say this. The lyrics on this album are just a little bit tamer than on the Bad Bunny. There's like maybe one song reference about someone like bouncing up and down on someone else, but like Bad Bunny, not only was he like he just went a little bit further.
You and I really are simpatico. I was going to make the same point. There's an approachability. It's not chaste. You know, like this album isn't chaste, but it's less like
more wholesome in some ways.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
I mean, like
people, like that's he's talking about his people. That's a cool thing.
Yeah,
I mean, if you brought J Balvin to dinner, like your mom would feel a different way about him than she might feel about Bad Bunny. I'm probably good in both ways.
Yeah.
But like it's making different parts of you tingle, I guess is what I will say.
And that's really why I got into it, was the tingling.
the tingle's there. And I mean, I don't have one abuela, like not like that. And so it's like I don't know if I could play this if my grandmother spoke Spanish, like could I play this album around my grandmother and not Bad Bunny? That's a question that I would ask our Spanish or like our Latin friends. Like that's an interesting thing to me, and I feel like maybe that's like a larger discussion just about dance music in general, is sort of like the fundamental sexuality of it, and how much that defines a bit of dance music or not. Like, because I do think this is dance music is what it is. It's
I can dance to this for sure.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, it's also, I did, when I was doing the 60-second thing, like I started to go a bit further down the like reggaeton thing, and like about like Jamaican dance hall as that being part of the origin, and also like the fact that like that beat, that recognizable beat, is apparently called the dembo rhythm, or if you're using specifically the way it was pronounced, the dembo rhythm specifically, which I will say this might be controversial. And like, I'm just going to put this out there, but like that beat, that very recognizable beat.
Sure.
Are you both familiar with the song Justify My Love by Madonna?
I must be.
No.
I must be.
This is how we can tell our age difference because
Fair
Justify
enough.
My Love was the track that was one of the 2 tracks added to the Immaculate Collection, her greatest hits compilation, but it was controversial because she made this music video that went along with it that was essentially softcore porn. And like it got banned everywhere, so they released it as like a VHS single, and like it became like one of the best-selling singles of all time. But the rhythm in it is that same sort of recognizable
Limbo
rhythm.
thing.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it's just Madonna stealing things from other people again, but whatever.
Appropriation is appropriation,
Appropriation.
right?
And thanks for coming to this podcast where I can talk about my love of softcore porn. That's where it's really coming from.
Yeah, you know, like there's a whole world of there's a whole spectrum of like sexualized media out there that we have to contend with as I mean, I guess just as like in the West, maybe just the world,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like that shit's fascinating.
That's so
fascinating
interesting.
how we approach it, you know.
Uh-huh.
Because I definitely go to Bad Bunny because I'm like, oh, there's something just I can feel it in my plums, you know, like that's the
Your plums?
Have you seen that John Hamm video that just went viral at the Bad Bunny concert? He's feeling it in his plums.
St. Louis's favorite son currently, John Hamm.
John Hamm. They're calling him Juan Hamon now. I saw that on Instagram today, and they're like, "Oh, Juan Hamon, he loves Bad Bunny."
Okay, we'll retweet, we'll re-X that.
You
We're
have
not
to.
on X. We're not on X, but
no X
we'll do
for
it in
us.
Blue Sky or whatever. We'll find it when this episode goes up. John, God love you. Come on, let's talk about Bad Bunny.
Podcast.
Yeah, come on,
He
pod.
would love that. He would love that.
I would
Tag
love
him.
John
Tag him
Hamm.
in the comments.
He'll do it. He'll do it. I'll take him to a Cardinals game.
Yeah.
He has better seats than I do.
You think? Yeah.
Okay, where are we going? We got. Go ahead.
I think maybe it's time, like we've been talking
I guess
about
so,
the
yeah.
album and the music as a whole, like might be a good time for you to share with us, Marcy, what is your standout track from Vibras?
My standout track from Vibras is Brio, that's featuring Rosalia.
So, dear listeners and viewers, if you are enjoying this episode on YouTube, right, and you're enjoying it through the playlist option, we can't stress that enough, to be listening and watching through the playlist option.
Do that.
Now you're going to get to hear that song in its entirety because we love you just that much.
Wait, that's so cool.
I know, right? Isn't YouTube amazing?
It's the best way to do
Technology.
it. I would
I
go so
love
far as
that.
to say, yeah.
And then when that's done, if you're, again, watching through the playlist, you're going to come right back and we're going to talk about it. So we'll see you on the other side.